Please read the disclaimer. Whoops, I forgot to change my shirt. Much better. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, moneymakers, XRP holders. Today, everything is going to change for the crypto market. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, moneymakers. We got a lot to talk about. Currently, XRP is sitting at $1.74, down another 3.5%. Bitcoin down 2.5%, Ethereum down 3.5%, Solana down 2%. So the whole crypto market continues the pullback we had overnight. A few minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, where we had this pullback, and since then we've seen consolidation. Same thing here for Bitcoin. Everything took a tumble here at the same time frame. There wasn't any big news that came out. Again, there is still a couple of things that we're looking at, and we'll look at XRP price action and levels and like an XRP price prediction in just a second. But the big news is that Trump says that he's going to announce his Fed nominee on Friday. So that is today. We're seeing also the futures continue to slide a little bit after last night where we had the markets falling. We'll get to what happened with gold and silver. And we also had Apple earnings that were okay, right? We didn't see Apple popping after the earnings. So that is creating some selling pressure on the markets. And that will be very important to look at over the next 24 hours. But like I said, there's bad news and there's good news here. It's very confusing, right? We get bad news, things tank. We get good news and things are like, okay, right? And listen, again, in the crypto market, because of leverage, we're seeing a situation where, and we're seeing the silver and gold get squeezed there also. But you see here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, even 57 million. So over the last 12 hours, the top three liquidations have come off: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. $1.72 billion liquidated in the last 24 hours. One position on HTX, someone got liquidated for $80 million. Holy smokus. It ain't no jokes. That is a significant amount to get liquidated on. Hopefully they have more than that. And it will be very interesting to see what happens here. But again, we did get good news. With this good news, right? We're thinking that this will be good news, right? This is good news. Also, Senate Democrats say they have reached a deal with President Trump to fund the government and avoid a government shutdown. So that fear that is happening, that the government shutdown is happening, is now off the table. So you got that off the table. You got a new Fed on the table, and yet what is left on fear-wise for the crypto market? The Iran-US situation, I guess. Yeah, that's the only quote-unquote fear that we still have in the markets. What we're hearing now is that they might go to a deal. Things are looking a little bit better, but again, we know not to believe. Sometimes that's a smoke screen that we saw in the past. The US try to use, we're talking, and then they do something. So we have to put that on the table as well. As always, I just want to remind you that this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Very, very important. Also, remember that I will never contact you on social media asking you to sign up to anything or to send me any money. Those are scammers. Those are imposters. Please be very careful out there. So we just witnessed $9 trillion market cap swing in about 6.5 hours. Gold erased nearly 3 trillion, but then added back 2 trillion. Silver wiped out 750 billion, then came back as well. Same thing with the stock market, NASDAQ, but the crypto market, because of all the leverages and the liquidations, is having a little bit of struggle to recover. So the sell-offs happen similar to what happened with the rest of the market, but we don't have the liquidity to bounce it back because of the liquidations. Remember, stock market, silver, gold, they have leverage things. That's not the word that I wanted. Leverage tools, right? But it's not price related. So even if the prices drop, the liquidity can come back and recover it. But with leverage in the crypto market, because it's price wise, then when we get a liquidation, that's it. The position is out, the money is gone, and that's it, right? And so that is a detriment for the crypto market. It's a plus when the market's pumping, right? Because shorts get squeezed. And they can get squeezed significantly. But when the market's dropping, it can drop significantly, and there's lots of volatility to the downside in that case. We have these cascading sell-offs. Now, I did decide to open another position here with the XRP, a little bit higher of a leverage, just to take advantage of the potential of this current swing. Again, this is a more of a risky move right now that I took here. I took it with a smaller position than the other positions, as you can see. And so the Bitcoin and XRP positions are down, but they still have a significant amount of room for before liquidations because they are low leverage. Now, if you are interested in trading, our partner BYDFI will give you the opportunity to do so. We still have the XRP competition going on, and the more you trade, the more XRP you can gain, okay? You sign up using my link, and you can trade and earn. This is happening till the end of the month, but I'm going to talk to them, and we're going to get more time on this. And so you can register using my link, sign up here, and please trade responsibly. I will get a commission, so thank you for that. It really helps out the channel to help us continue putting the lights on, getting the right shirt. I hope you enjoyed that bit in the beginning. I asked my wife, I said, is it corny? Is it too corny? She's like, Avi, be yourself. I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. I said, the people need a little bit of, a little bit of laughter when the markets are dropping a little bit. And so if I can make a fool of myself a little bit, make a joke, I'm fine with it. If it brightens your day, and you feel a little bit better, I'm happy with that. So again, when we're looking back at what potentially happened here, the fact is that why did we see the massive crash there? Too much leverage and margin calls. Traders went crazy with high leverage, 50x, 100x in futures, and a small dump turned into forced selling, which started a chain of liquidation, wiping out millions in paper gains. Profit taking after a huge amount of uptick there in gold and silver. And Microsoft that's dumped there, and the weakening of the cloud AI growth numbers, plus Morgan Stanley removing it from its top picks, pulled the whole market down. And, people are saying, hey, we're in bubble territory with gold and silver. And when that happens, there can be volatility. Again, no real news or big event that happened. And that's a good sign, because we're looking here and say, okay, new Fed chairman, no government shutdown, all these good things, good signs. Then in the medium term, right, this is a good thing, right? We don't have those things on the table anymore that would put fear. So maybe, Freaky Friday, as always, Friday is always complicated. We need to take that into consideration. There's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be volatility, especially in the stock market. There's option contracts. It's the end of the month. The monthly contracts expired last week, but there's weekly contracts. And just the end of the month in general, closing the books, companies, end of the month, and things like that, there can be a lot of volatility, a lot of shenanigans. So again, we have to take that into consideration. Now, if we pull out and we look at XRP and the current price action, this is the lowest that XRP has been since October 10th. So we can look at that and we can say, okay, not great, but the last two times that this happened, that we dropped in this manner, right? So we had a drop here in November, and then we rallied about 22% off of that. We had the low point here in December 19th, and then it took a few weeks, but we did rally about 35% off of that. The question now is going to be, is this the bottom, right? If we're looking at the 4-hour chart, we are at the bottom of the stochastic RSI. If we're looking at the daily chart, we were at the bottom and we climbed out a little bit, but now we're pulling back again. The next real support zone for XRP is at 163. And so that is going to be the area that we saw here. Again, we touched it on October 10th, but remember that was like a very fast sell off there, and then it recovered back to 229. And the question is this even relevant, right? So more relevant would be here the 163 area, which it bounced off of back in April, and that was a resistance area that then became a support area. So previously on the run up, back in the day, we had, let me just lock this, right? So I don't move the lines. When we had this as a resistance area, it was a situation where we were on the come up, right? And then right here, right, it got rejected. And this is above my head, right? Yeah, above my head right now, you can see we got rejected here. Then it came back, and when it broke through, we had that big rally all the way up to almost $3. And then it acted here as a support, bounced off of that back in March. And now it could become a support zone again for XRP. So we're going to have to take into consideration that the market could continue its sell off. Bitcoin did touch here the support. You can see during the sell off here, it got right to that support zone, popped up, got there again to that zone, popped up again. And so this is going to be a support zone. If it breaks down that way, we could go to the 75,000 area for Bitcoin. It is a possibility. We've talked about this, that we could hit the 75,000 area. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. It's still a possibility. Remember, we did in the beginning of last year, we did run from 111,000 all the way to 75,000. So there's a possibility that that happens once again. We shouldn't be surprised if anything in the crypto market anymore, okay? But, off of that, right, and the current price action, which again, is not great. Again, if we go to the moving averages and everything, it's not looking good. Everything across the board here is on a sell. Oscillators are a little bit mixed, but this is, whenever we see these kinds of actions, high probability that we are close to the bottom. It doesn't mean that we're at the bottom, but in my experience, in my past, analyzing graphs and looking at graphs many days, almost every day, basically. When this happens, it's usually a signal for a local bottom. It doesn't mean that it can't continue to drop another 10%, another 15%. That is still a possibility because of how the crypto market is set up with all the leverage. And so again, we need to take that into consideration when we're looking at that. We did have that CFTC SEC summit yesterday, and SEC and CFTC signal consensus on crypto rules. CFTC Chair Selig says the agency will coordinate on crypto oversight under a unified framework ahead of their joint harmonization event. Both chairs signal growing consensus on crypto rules to reduce market uncertainty. And again, on the sell-offs, we did see record volume for XRP ETFs. So there is interest, there is action there. I'm thinking some of it is selling off, right? But it's getting traction, it's getting action. And so potentially we'll see where this goes. Something that could be a little bit, shaky for the market. So we looked at the good things. But President Trump imposed a 50% tariff on any aircraft sold by Canada to the United States. So anytime there's a headline tariff and anything like that, it freaks out the crypto market is a little bit as well. So we have to take that into consideration. And also we have this. The Department of Justice seizes $400 million in crypto and assets. The U.S. Department of Justice has finalized to forfeiture over $400 million in assets tied to Helix, a darknet mixer accused of laundering illicit funds. Final court order granted the government ownership of seized crypto, real estate, and accounts. Prosecutors say they processed 354,468 Bitcoin from 2014 to 2016, worth over 300 million at the time. And so again, more assets that are potentially going into the Bitcoin reserve there. So that is, I don't know if you want to look at that as good news or bad news. But it is crypto news that we need to know. Today is going to be very, very interesting. We'll see how the markets react when the announcement of the new Fed chairman is going to come out. It said Friday morning, so it's probably US time, Friday morning Eastern time, somewhere around that. The markets will probably open up the stock market. Yesterday, we saw the markets, the crypto market start the sell off once the stock market opened up. And then assets started getting dumped and ETF started getting dumped. And then that triggered the sell off on the crypto market. We'll see today how it reacts once the market opens up, how it reacts once Trump gives his decision. Most likely it's going to be someone that's pro crypto, but we don't know. We'll have to see, who he decides to choose, how the market processes, how the market thinks about it. And so it will be a very, very interesting day to see what is going to happen here in the market. Again, if you're interested in trading, if you're interested in potentially taking advantage of the dips or putting in or taking advantage, both ways. You could be shorting, you could be longing, you could be using it as defense. Again, link is in the description down below. Please trade responsibly. And again, I will get a commission. Don't forget to smash the like button, drop a comment, 8 for infinity and beyond in the comment section. Thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. And like I always say, let's make a lot of money.